welcome back to another video. I'm going to be testing out some pencils today. These are the Arrtx Coloured pencils. They did send these to me to review, but obviously I'm going to give all my honest opinions and I'm excited to try them out, and plus they come in like really cute packaging. So they sent me the 72 set and the big 128 set of coloured pencils. I'm interested to try these out because I want to see how they compare to my usual pencils which I use, which are the Faber-Castell polychromos. I'm trying to find a good example of one to show you. Yeah, they're the Faber-Castell polychromos. I use them. I've been using these for years and they're very good, but the issue with these is they're also very, very expensive. I'll pop a screenshot up of how much a big set of these would cost, and I'm hoping what these pencils will be is kind of like a cheaper alternative to Faber-Castells, because these are actually really affordable. I'll pop the prices up. I can't remember the exact prices, but I'll pop them up as well, and as you can see they're a lot cheaper than the Faber-Castells. So I'm going to test these out and see if they're like a really good alternative, more budget-friendly alternative to Faber-Castells, because I'm aware that like buying a big set of the Faber-Castell pencils is a very, very big investment. So if you're just looking to like test out pencils and try them out, then this is probably a much better way to go. So the 126 set comes in these two little things. What card there? I like how they're presented. This I find very, very satisfying. This is what the pencils look like. I think the 72 set is like all the same colours, but just a smaller selection of the colours. So though I think I'll just swatch this set, the bigger set, because all the colours in here will be in here, if that makes sense. I mean, I'm pretty sure it'll all just be like repeat colours. I don't know if there'll be any extra colours in here which aren't in here. That's quite a pretty colour. This one has jumped out to me straight away. I actually don't have this colour in my Faber-Castells. What's my closest colour? This is the only colour I have which is somewhat close to this. So I'm excited to see actually, because there'll probably be a lot of colours in these sets which I don't have in my other pencils. Actually, let me just show you a little bit more of the packaging. I'm just going to take a few of these colours out. I don't want to mess up the order. I don't know how well this is coming across on camera, but in the bottom here it's just like foam, but it's just foam with little indents cut out. I was watching a video of someone reviewing these, and the one thing they said in that video is as you sharpen them they'll get smaller. So obviously if you have a small pencil in the middle section you're going to struggle to see it, but I reckon like that's not really an issue. Just put the smaller pencils on the outside, because I'm really not that bothered about keeping them in the same order as I go on. Like with these pencils here, I just have them all colour coded, so as long as I've got like my blues in a sections, my yellows and like my browns, all, you know, as long as I have the colours in sections, I'm not really bothered if they stay in this exact order. I know you shouldn't really get pencils because of the packaging. You should get pencils for the quality of the pencils, but if you was to get pencils for the packaging, these would be some good ones to get. So I'm interested to see if the quality of the pencils lives up to the niceness of the packaging. I've just finished testing out all these pencils, and First impressions are, I'm very impressed. I think the colour selection is really nice. There are some colours in here which have really stood out to me because I don't have them in my other pencils. Like I don't have anything even close to that colour in the other pencils, especially like these really pale purples. I don't really have them. I started to test out the blending, because high quality pencils usually you can layer and layer and layer them, and you have no issues with that. So I was testing these out, and I really layered the heck out of this guy. I just kept adding more and more and more. I don't know if it's coming across on camera, but you can see where it's a little bit shiny is where I've really pushed on with the pencil. I think that's called burnishing, when you like layer a pencil to the point where it goes shiny on the paper and then you can't really add any more. So I went to town on this, probably at least 20 layers of pencils on it. All of these pencils I used to make this, and it's just a random shape, but I think kind of gets across. I was trying to pick really different colours, blending them together, and also lights and darks. I'm really impressed. And at the moment I can't really notice a difference between these kind of budget-friendly, cheaper pencils and my very expensive Faber-Castells. The biggest difference I'm noticing is these ones are much softer. The pencil lead is feels like a little bit more buttery to draw with, whereas the Faber-Castells are quite hard. But I kind of knew Faber-Castells are quite a hard pencil. A harder pencil means you kind of have to press on harder to get like really dark colour, but it means you don't have to sharpen them as much. And when you have a softer pencil like this, the colour goes on easier and you don't have to press down as hard, but the pencil will go shorter quicker, so it will need sharpening more. So there's pros and cons with hard and soft pencils. Oh, and I guess that shouldn't come as a surprise, because it even says on the packaging and like the advertising of these pencils that they're soft pencils. So they're definitely soft. They're living up to that. I'm quite excited now to try and draw a portrait. My plan is to pick unusual colours and do quite a colourful face and try to get as much layering and shading and as colours into it as possible. So I'm going to sketch that out off camera just because it's quite boring, and then when I'm ready to start adding in the coloured pencil, I will start filming. So the first thing I worked on in this video to test out these pencils was a portrait. This took me, I want to say, 5 hours, 5.5 hours. I didn't manage to finish it, and I don't intend on finishing it, but I got enough of the face done so you get the point comes across. I basically did the whole face, but then avoided the hair. The thought of having to draw hair, I couldn't commit myself to that. But I had fun drawing the face. I actually used to do a lot of coloured pencil portraits. I'd say maybe when I was 15, 16, I really got into coloured pencil portraits, and I got quite good at it, to be honest. If you watched my videos, you know my style is completely different now, but it's nice to go back every now and then and draw a face. And I think it's a good way to test out the pencils, because you can blend loads of colours together and see how detailed you can get with them. And the picture I was copying from, well, my reference picture was just of this little girl. Found it on Pinterest, thought it had good lighting, I like the colours. I ended up exaggerating the colours a lot in this drawing, and I kind of picked colours which weren't actually there, so I was like really pushing the colours and seeing how vibrant I could make this piece. Let's talk numbers. I've done some maths and I'm going to spew some numbers out at you for a little bit, just for a bit of context. So the Arrtx 126 set, which is what I was using to draw the things in this video, is $55, which is around £44, which is 35p per pencil. Then the pencils, I'm going to just be comparing these two because they're the only pencils like I really have a big set of. The main pencils I've used throughout my artistic journey are my Faber-Castell Polychromo pencils. Now they come, the biggest tin you can get, and the tin that I have is the 120 set. If you were to buy this from the Faber-Castell website, you're looking at £287. Now I don't know if you can get that cheaper somewhere else, but I was just looking directly at their website. So that is £2.40 per pencil. So to put it into context, £2.40 for a Polychromo pencil and 35p for an Arrtx pencil. Now, considering that, I think these pencils are extremely good value for money, and are also just very good pencils regardless of the price. if you was to give me this pencil and tell me that this was like a really expensive high-end pencil, I'd probably be like, okay, yeah, all right. I would believe it, because I could produce, well, what I think is a really good drawing from it, and I was having not a single issue with layering. Like these pencils, they just kept layering and layering, and I threw a lot of layers on and it just kept going. I kept thinking, right, no way can it layer anymore. I've put so much on here, and then lo and behold, it would just layer super easy as well. Like I didn't even have to put much pressure on. First of all, I should also say I wouldn't consider myself a pencil expert. I have only really used Faber-Castells, and that's it. That's basically it. I got myself a set of Faber-Castells when I was 16, probably when I was in my coloured pencil portrait phase. That's what I've been using ever since. I think I originally got the smaller set, and then as a present my parents gave me like the bigger set, which I have now. So other than them, that's all I've really used, so I don't have a lot to compare them to. But as far as I'm aware, from the research I did, Faber-Castell pencils are considered to be like really good pencils. I was comparing these to the only pencils I know, and comparing them to those pencils, I can't really tell much of a difference. And considering the massive difference in price, I think that's saying a lot really for the quality, for how good I think these pencils are. The only slight downside which I can think of is the white pencil isn't super opaque, but kind of that was coming in really handy. I was using the white pencil a lot to blend, so I would put down my colour and then another colour on top. I kind of layer a few colours and then I would go back in with the white pencil and just kind of swirl it around a bit, and it would help to blend all the colours together. So I was kind of treating the white pencil just as a blender pencil. It does lighten it slightly, but not like a massive amount. So I guess the downside could also be a pro. It just depends what you want to use it for. So that's kind of the only downside I can think of. Sharpening them, I'm going to talk about sharpening. When I was sharpening the pencils, it was just super smooth as well, and I suppose that depends on like the sharpener you're using. But I know with some of the pencils I do have, you know, when you're trying to sharpen a pencil and it's just kind of breaking whilst you're sharpening it, it can be really frustrating. And I have a few Faber-Castells which do that. My Arrtx pencils will kind of crack when I sharpen them, and I don't know if this is because maybe the tin was dropped, but there's a few in there which you can just sharpen and they just like break. I don't know, I think the lead's all broken inside, and I did a lot of sharpening throughout this process. I didn't have a single issue with any of them like breaking whilst I was sharpening them, because it's really frustrating when you're sharpening a pencil and it breaks and you have to sharpen it all the way down, and you just feel like you're wasting a bunch of pencil, especially if it breaks multiple times in a row, which does happen with some of my fancy pencils. Sharpening these were nice and smooth, didn't have any issues. So that was the portrait. Pretty nice, pretty happy with that. Like I said, I didn't want to finish the hair. I'm sorry guys, I'd already spent 6 hours on it, and just the thought of like drawing all these little strands of hair, I just couldn't quite bring myself to do it. So that's all you're getting for the portrait. And then I moved on to doing a bird. I just picked a bird because I think you can get a lot of colours in, a lot of textures, and I'm really into birds at the moment. I thought I would test out how it works on top of watercolour, because I very, very rarely, well, basically never now, do a fully coloured pencil piece. If I'm using coloured pencils, it's most of the time just as to add a little bit of detail to a collage that I've made, because for those who maybe this is the first video you're watching of mine, I'm mainly a collage artist. Well, I like to think I'm mixed media, so I do use coloured pencils a lot, but they're just like to add detail. I never really do something fully in coloured pencil, but if I am, it's usually a watercolour thing which I'm then adding coloured pencil to on top, like you see in here. So I wanted to see how it would work on top of the watercolour. I kind of regret my paper choice for this bird. I chose a really textured paper because that's just what I had lying around, and then when I started to add the pencil to this piece, I remembered why I don't really like textured paper anymore. I like to use, I can't remember, there's hot press watercolour and cold press watercolour, and one of them has a smooth finish and one of them has a textured finish. I can't remember which one's which, but I personally these days prefer the smooth finish. So I kind of wish I would have done this bird on the smooth finish paper, because you can see like the white kind of poking through from the texture of the paper, and that's nothing to do with the pencils, that's just purely the paper I was using. And this is all just personal preference as well, some people might like the way that looks. But I didn't notice the pencils working any differently on top of the watercolour. I didn't really put that much watercolour down, to be fair, but it just kind of worked the same as it did just going straight onto the plain paper. So I did a watercolour base, trying to stay quite loose with it, have my colours blend into the colours like wet on wet technique with the watercolour, just to get like a base colour down, and then I was just working into that with the coloured pencil to bring out, I mean I did a lot with the coloured pencils. Originally I was going to do something which was a bit more like stylised and loose, but it ended up getting quite tight. But I really like the colours in it, and I think this nicely shows a bit of blending, and I think it's nice. So my conclusion with the coloured pencils are the Arrtx Coloured pencils. I think they're really good value for money, and you can do some pretty impressive stuff with them. They blend really nicely, the colour selection is good, they feel lovely, like creamy to work with, and like they layer on top of each other. Have I already said that? I don't know. But I'm really impressed by them, and especially considering they're £44 inside cute packaging. Like, I don't know, I think that's a pretty good deal if you ask me. So that is genuinely my honest opinion. These pencils have really surprised me. I really wasn't expecting them to be this good, and they blew my expectations out of the water. And I'm going to be adding all my favourite colours from that set into my little pencil pots which I have on my desk with all my other coloured pencils, and I can imagine myself getting a lot of use out of them. So do I recommend them? Yes. If you want a nice set of coloured pencils and you don't want to spend too much money on them, these would be the ones to go to. Like I said, I haven't tried out that many coloured pencils, so I don't have much to compare them to, but you can see the results turned out nice, and I guess the results speak for themselves. So with all that being said, I hope you've enjoyed this little review. And if you're not even interested in pencils, hopefully you enjoyed just watching a bit of art process footage. I'll see you soon. Goodbye.